Good morning, everyone. So Saturday, 26th of November, and a few things, very interesting things happening out on the ocean today, and a few technical issues this morning as well. But anyway, we're back on track, and it's another overcast day here in Les Sables d'Olonne. So first thing, let's look at the back end of the fleet. This is exciting to see. We've got a typical South Atlantic high here, and that's what it's supposed to look like. And in fact, if we just hit the latitude longitude grid, here's the 40s, and that's normally where you'd come around. And if it was like this for the last month, every day, it'd be quite fun. And most of the boats would have come down here, hooked along, got a pretty good ride up into Cape Town. So right now, I think most of you will probably know the issue that Arnaud has. He's got a series of little things combining to make it difficult for him to sail to windward. The mast base is moving a little bit because the bobstay of the bowsprit, the fitting on the stem that holds the bobstay, is moved in towards it's sort of pressured in towards the stem of the boat, the hull, which is decreasing the distance and loosening that off, so the bowsprit's flexing a bit, and it's decreasing the tension on the forestay, and then that's upsetting the cap shrouds and bits. So he's managing a few various things, and to be safe, he doesn't want to sail to windward. So his objective is still to try and get to the east, head towards Australia, and maybe even to Cape Town, and work out what he's going to do. But for now, the only option is to if we look over this, if he can't go to windward, generally speaking, the winds are coming in this direction, which would blow him over towards Brazil somewhere, and he doesn't really want to do that. So we'll watch this space. But he's sailing very cautiously going forward, making hard for him to get to the east. So today he's certainly come across on the other tack and making 3.6 knots, so we'll just see what happens and see what develops with this high. Guy is sort of trying to maintain a little bit of easting in his course, but he's driving into no wind. He knows that's the centre of the high, but it should move, and then he'll make some progress as well over to the east. So just moving this forward a day till tomorrow, and you can see it's coming across, but unfortunately it's distorting, so Guy's still in very low winds. Arnaud wind direction doesn't change because he's on the top of it. It's on the northern edge, so we come through, that's the end of the day, and it's the centre of it's blowing out into nothing. But I think Guy's going to be okay. He'll come down on this if he's lucky, but that's still 2 days away, so he's got a slow time ahead, and Arnaud's not going to go anywhere because there's no wind. Not helping his track towards Hobart at all. So a little bit more, still a bit there. Guy's going to come off light, so it's slow. So that's on the 29th, which is 3 days ahead. If we go into the 30th, again, Arnaud maybe down here, but if he is, it's headwinds, so not much joy. There's another high obviously forming up behind here. This is a bigger one, so that's going to interplay with them, and they're still going to be on the top of that. So it'll be all right for a couple of days, but anyway, that's not much joy for them. The clock is ticking. So now we come into Cape Town. Pat's taken off with Ayrton's boat. We thought we'd leave it on the tracker just to give you a quick squirt, but that'll disappear in the next few hours, whatever it is. But Pat is sailing Ayrton's boat up to the Canaries with Rian, our head volunteer in Cape Town. Rian, Pete and Eve and so on. So they're going to have a nice ride in this breeze. That's why they want to get going. And Ian and Elliot are crossing tacks. So Elliot's story was very interesting, and there'll be a bit more about that later on. The repairs looked quite successful, and Elliot feels it's as strong as, if not stronger than what it was before they left Les Sables d'Olonne, which is interesting. But the big issue here is there's various comments going around about the repairs, blah blah blah. The reality is that Elliot understands what he's got now in the boat, and he can manage that. The bowsprit's not unsafe. It looks reasonably secure. There's a couple of people who've had a look at it, some experienced people giving advice and opinions on how to do that repair, and we looked at all aspects of it. We've had a detailed look at all the different elements that he's done to do that, and in our opinion it's absolutely not unsafe. And you have to also remember that the rig is supported very well with the inner forestay for the staysail that goes to the top of the mast, and goes quite high on the mast, and it's on the stem, has nothing to do with the bowsprit. And he's taken off his genoa off the furl and put a much smaller jib on, and he'll be able to manage that. You could sail across the Southern Ocean with just a staysail in the main, and when the rig is strapped down with runners at the staysail stay, the inner stay of the mast, the rig is quite secure, irrespective of the forestay. So there's a lot of elements to that, and we weren't at a level where we thought that we needed to stop his journey. The boat looks fine, and he's just sailing it in a little bit of different way than he would if it was if he was racing and all that sort of stuff, which he's not. So we were quite okay to let him continue the journey, and he's got a game plan for a lot of different things in the Southern Ocean, which we also discussed. So Elliot's currently doing 5.4 knots on this south-southeasterly, and Ian is doing 5.6 knots, and they'll slowly make their way down. They're going to hopefully miss the worst of the stronger southeasterly that will come up, I think, shortly. So that's a good news story for now. And if we just drop this back a little bit now and see where the others are. Here we go. Okay, so Jeremy's got a nice breeze at the moment, sailing 6.3 knots. He's enjoying that. Captain Goog is 6.3 as well. Typical southwesterly breeze and a reasonable sea. And Kirsten, if anyone's been watching it, big news was the speed. She was doing over 10 knots for quite a while there, had a big 24-hour run. She's still doing 8.3 knots. She's had a solid breeze. She's had this northwester, which has been quite firm. 30, 35 forecast and probably gusting 40s. Pretty big sea. If we look at the seas at the moment, we'll look at the seas here. Yeah, she's been in 5 metre seas, 4, 5.5, maybe occasionally bigger. Abelish has backed off a bit now because that northwesterly has gone over, and the seas are going to be building a little bit for Captain Goog here. And generally this is typical Southern Ocean stuff now. It's all sort of 3.5 metres, 4 metres, and so on. But the big one is the currents. This is where Kirsten hit the jackpot. If you look at this, I'll blow it up for her. This will explain the speeds that she was doing. She was had a big winds on the quarter, which is favourable, but you can see she sat in the middle of this current here for some time. She picked it up, more luck than good planning, because she wouldn't know exactly where this is, but there's her track coming along here, perfectly managed all the way through. So that's given her a big boost, because this could be running at this is probably running at close to 3.5 knots in here at times, and it doesn't take you long. 3.5 knots for 24 hours is like 70 miles straight away. So that's a big kick. Abelish got a bit of a boost as well. He came down on this one. You can see here, in fact I'll increase the so you can see here's his course. He came across this lot, got a big kick there, got it down here. It's all still no head currents, but not as strong as Kirsten had in the last bit. So you can see he's had a bit of a kick, but now he's run out of it, and on top of that there's not much wind, so he's only doing 2.8, and Kirsten has rocketed ahead. So that's all good news there. Simon is way up the front here. He's now pretty much running out of current. So I'll just bring this back. Yeah, he's out of the current zone now, and it's just going to be like normal ocean sailing, so no benefits there, but still doing 7 knots, mainly because of the wind. But before we do that, I'll just check the currents back here on Jeremy. Jeremy's got a big boost there, same deal, 6.3 knots, and that will be helping his cause quite a bit. So if I now come back to the wind, you'll see he's got relatively not light winds, but average winds. So 6.3, might be getting another 1.5 knots or something, pushing him along pretty well. Okay, so back to Simon. Simon's doing okay, 7 knots. That's pure sailing. So he's hooting. The distances here, let's have a look between say the average here, 718. So Kirsten's gained a bit for sure. And generally Simon's doing pretty well. So Kirsten's now 670 miles behind Simon, which is kind of cool. Okay, get rid of that. Let's see what the weather's progressing. I'll decrease this so we can watch all of them. You can pick which boats you want to watch while it's coming through. That might be a bit too small. Yeah, so Jeremy's back here. No, it might be a bit small. Anyway, we'll push it through for a couple of hours. You can see that's, I'll now animate it. Simon will be in it by this afternoon and tonight. This isn't a storm, once again, this is just solid winds. It's forecasting sort of 30, or forecasting 35, say, and gusting higher. This is typical Southern Ocean again, and it comes in pretty solid from the southwest, but the sea should be manageable because he's outside the currents. You can see Kirsten and Avalis are going to run into a hole. They'll slow down a bit, and Simon will keep moving, but then it'll come over and impact Simon, but keep Kirsten and Avalis sailing. Captain Goog's got a pretty nice ride. He's got southwesterlies going through, but then Jeremy at the back is certainly going to slow down for a day or so as well. This is on the 28th, 2 days in advance. So anyway, they'll be making reasonable progress. Interestingly, Jean-Luc is way up the front here. Big blow down the bottom, but it's down low, which is good. And you can still see this general lack of consistent westerly winds along here. And that's probably why the guys, they may have picked up on this. They're holding close to the bottom of the no-go zone. Normally I'd say go along here, go along the 40s, but there's interesting stuff going on there. So anyway, that's about it. We'll try and get the Q&A up again later today and answer a few questions. We tried to get a press release out last night, but we had a lot of things going on with Elliot and stuff, and that was where we were announcing the time compensation for Kirsten and Avalis. We've now informed them officially, and we'll look at making that announcement when we get this release out. So